Hello, everyone. This is April Cox, and we are here today for week 4 for our author work group. And the focus today is going to be illustration, the illustration process. And we have special speaker today, Pradeep Mehra from PencilMaster Mehra. And he's going to give us some samples and walk us through some of the things that his group is doing with regard to illustrations. So welcome, everybody. Let me just go over to our agenda for the day. So we've got a lot of things that we'll want to show, and I want to save a lot of time for question and answers. So we kept the slides light for today. We're going to walk through the illustration process. Pradeep will talk a little bit about what an author could do to help prepare and to make the process of working with an illustrator go more smoothly. And then we'll have a little bit of portfolio review with Pradeep. So we'll get a chance to take a look at what his group is doing. So this is Pradeep, and I'll just introduce him briefly, and then I'll let him expand a little bit. So he is the founder of PencilMaster Digital Solutions. I found Pradeep through a Facebook group that we both belong to. And I've been working with him, I think about 1.5 years now, on and off. And I have a very high respect for this man. He's does a great job with customer service, and I think his team is one of the most talented that I've worked with when it comes to illustration. So I really appreciate, Pradeep, you taking time out of your busy day to work with us, especially it's 10:30 at night where you are, right? So, and Pradeep has over 15 years experience. We will take a look at a picture of his large team, but they have 17 members, illustrators, graphic designers, project managers, so kind of a one-stop shop. Pradeep, would you like to just talk a little bit about yourself and explain where you came from and kind of what your background is? And I'll just ask everybody else, if you're not speaking or asking a question, if you would mind just muting yourself so we don't have any background noise.
Hello, everyone. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Let me address you the company name first. The company name is PencilMaster Digital Solution Private Limited. It is not PencilMaster Mehra. Actually, I have given my surname to my company because I'm very close to it. Okay. And I have a 15 years experience as an illustrator and creative director. I worked with so many projects related to publishing ebooks and print media, digital media. And I feel more confident in end-to-end publishing services because I have a hand-on experience on it. And we started PencilMaster Digital Solution. We means me and my wife started this company just 4.5 years back. We registered a private limited firm, and we hired a couple of people with us 4 years back. We have started with the 5 people. Now, after 4 years, we have a 17 people team, and we are in 2000 planning to extend our team and hire 5, 6 more, because we are expanding our business globally. Right now, we are working with Oxford, India, Pearson, HarperCollins, and McGraw-Hill, and some of the international publishers, like individual publishers like UK, US, Australia, South Africa. And this is about the PencilMaster short brief. And I would like to address one-to-one queries, although I have to tell so much about the PencilMaster and the services we can provide. But when you ask me by one, so maybe I can address your queries. Meanwhile, I'll start explaining about the services we provide. I think you have to unmute your button, April.
Sorry about that. I just grabbed a picture of your team and I put it up here. So I thought that I would give you an opportunity to show some of the folks that are also working on some of our projects.
April, I can't see your screen.
You can't?
No.
No, we can't. Okay, how about now?
Oh, yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
this is
Sorry
a
about that, guys.
picture.
Thank you for
Yeah,
speaking up.
this is the picture we have clicked just 4.5 months back, because the lady, she's came from a US to visit our studio, and we give her our catalog and introduce with our team. This is the entire team. Because of the camera zooming function, we are not able to capture the entire team, but this is the overall team structure.
Nice. Okay, so Pradeep, why don't you talk a little bit about the illustration process, and you can make it personalized on how you guys like to work, and what your process is from the time the author initiates with you until you finish the project.
uh, you know when we meet with any new author, first of all, I like to address here that every author have their own specific mindset and different requirement. But what I have noticed personally, that most of the author are stuck with the illustration style, that what exactly and what kind of style is more appropriate for their book. So when they start, I seriously recommend them to do little research on what type of about their story, and try to correlate what type of illustration and colors they like, and so maybe they can create their own guideline, and that is really going to help with the studio or individual illustrator if they have done this research before they initiate with the illustrator and begin with their work. If they have a proper research, type of illustration, type of stories, type of graphics, so and maybe they can provide us a relevant references, with combination of concrete brief, short descriptions, and references, so that is really going to help a illustrator. Because sometimes what happened when we received any new script from authors, they have written a very detailed brief, which is not going to help us. We just need a short description with relevant references, so we can read their mind that what exactly they want.
So can you give an example of what types of information, what would be good as you're reading through something? What's the kind of information that you're looking for?
For example, if you require a situation like is boy in a drawing room or in a living room and is talking to his brother or sister, instead of writing a detailed descriptions, if you can write just a short summary about the situation you require to illustrate with the relevant references, if you are specific on anything, that is really help a lot. Just a description that boy is talking to his sister and mother, whatever the situation you require, instead of writing a complete story, because illustrators do not willing to read your story. Okay, we just need a concrete brief from author with the relevant references. And what happened after the brief, we always read the instructions, because in PencilMaster, it is our policy that we use FTR policy. It means first time right. And in this policy, what we done, when we received any script from any client, we read all the instructions, mark the key points, and ask if we have any doubt, and follow with concentration, and get back to the client if we have any doubt. So this is our policy. We use this policy here. When client send us something with a defined and short description, so it saves my and author time as well. And if they are come with the relevant references they have in their mind, because it is a huge country gap, as well as a mindset difference, because every person has their own mindset and thinking process. I cannot read your mind. I want you to help me to read your mind with the relevant references and short descriptions.
Right.
So whenever anyone come to us and they provide a detailed briefing, it doesn't mean that if you are providing a very detailed and lengthy description, so you are not going to get a handsome or a quality output. It is not about the quality or your non-quality. Just provide a short description briefs. So rest, it is my responsibility or my team responsibility to take care of your book and deliver to you what is according to your requirement.
Okay. So I
Okay.
remember one of the most recent books that I was working on, we had this discussion as well, and you mentioned that you wanted me to go through for each page and just explain what's supposed to be on the page.
Yes.
So page 1, opening scene, my dog in the field, in the park with other dogs playing.
Yes. You know what happens?
So is that enough? Is that the kind of feedback you're looking for?
Yeah, you know what happened when we receive any brief and description, we try to read the detail first, and then we'll schedule a proper call with the author to understand his or her about the story in more details. Because sometimes what happened when you wrote anything, so you miss so many important points which have in your mind, and we try to figure out and try to get those points from you.
Right. Yeah, I've always found that having that meeting of the minds and just kind of going through the brief together and allowing you or your illustrator to ask questions, that makes a big difference. I didn't realize how much I had left out when I first started working on my book, because I gave a picture of my grandchild, and my illustrator came back and said, what color are the eyes? How tall is this child? What kind of personality does this child have? So that as they try to start working on facial expressions and, or just getting the character to have some sort of personality in the drawing, it's helpful to know a little bit more about the character.
Yes, you're right.
Okay. So once you engage, and assuming that you have that full brief, the documentation the way that you want, it sounds like there's a little bit of back and forth with answering questions. Once that's finalized, then what happens?
What happened? We'll start with the storyboarding first. We'll start with the rough storyboarding in small doodles like 4 by 4 inches. Okay, we'll create the storyboards and attempt 2-3 version and finalize the main storyboard. Like if we have a 32 pages script, it means we are going to attempt 50 or 60 situations. From 50 to 60 situation, we take the best 32 page situation story doodles and share with the clients. Okay, and after the approval on it, we'll start penciling on it, and this is called illustration as well. And if the author is want the digital output, so we'll prefer to do the digital. If author want the manual pencil drawing, because some of the author are very specific on this, and they really want the pencil output, handmade output on a paper, because after finishing the drawing, they request us to deliver it the original sketches by courier.
Wow. Okay.
So it is depend on the author requirement. When they send us anything specifically, so we start working on a penciling. And sometime what happened recently, we have started that if we have a 32 page script or 24 page script, so we divide it into a batches. Mm-hmm. Because author is also going to take a time to reviewing them. Mm-hmm. We set up a meeting and timeline and start sending them in batches, small batches, like 3 batches or 4 batches. Mm-hmm. So meanwhile, when they are reviewing, it means that we are working on another pages. Okay. After the sketches approval, we'll attempt one color version for them and submit them for their approval. When we have the approval from the author, then we start working on another pages.
Okay. And the storyboard, I know that was a term when I was a new author that I didn't quite understand. It's just a higher level story flow. Is that right? How would you explain a storyboard? storyboard?
Storyboard is just a small wireframe of your book. What
Okay.
we do, we, for example, if we have an end-to-end services, then what we do, we'll take everything from author, set up text page by page, and with a very rough, sketchy scribbles, and we hand over to them just for a they when they have that storyboard with them, so they'll have a 50% of the idea that how it is coming out.
Right.
And it is very important for a book, and sometimes we skip this project, not because of the project is not important. We do it in house, but we not prefer to send it to author because of the delay and short timelines. We did do this project by default.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's a way for you to lay out the book and get your initial ideas on the paper.
Yes,
Okay.
because without this, we do not prefer to initiate. This is always help the illustrator to rethink before he sketch. This is one of the example which we have recently done for one of our client.
Yes. So these are the more refined pencil drawings, right? On the left.
Yes. And the third one is the final version.
Oh, it's so cute.
I don't receive the final approval mail, but I believe this is a final version.
Yes. Yes. Megan Christensen.
Hi, sorry. I just got on here. I just got discharged from the hospital, so that's why I'm a little late.
Oh, Megan, we're just admiring your character.
Oh, it's so cute. I love it. Love it.
Yep.
Many congratulations, Megan.
Yes, congratulations on your baby girl.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, Megan, how was the process of working and kind of going through this as a new author, just getting this character design and working back and forth with Pradeep on it?
It was great. It was really great. It was nice to see it in both the sketch as well as in color, because I can look at the sketches and I can think, okay, what colors do I kind of envision him in? But then when I saw Pradeep's version of the colors, it gave me all new ideas and perspectives as well. So now I feel like I can take kind of what I was envisioning and what he's envisioning and kind of mesh the two together and to get the final product. And it was very quick turnaround, and I think he did a really good job capturing exactly what was in my mind from reading my illustration notes, and very, very easy to work with. Yes, absolutely. And April did a great job bridging us together.
What happened actually, Megan, if you have anything very specific and selective color tones, because most of the people they have a color palette in their mind, but they are not able to express to the illustrator, and that is the reason sometimes they don't get the exact result they are looking for. So that is what I address in initial discussion, that whenever you start with anything, then initially research and development is very important. The R&D is very important. You should keep researching about new illustration and what type of illustration will match with your story. In your case, you are very specific on this, that you don't want the digital result, because and you like more pattern-based outputs. So these type of guidelines really help me.
Right.
Yep.
And here's another example that I popped in from you, Pradeep, showing. Now, is this the pencil drawing, or is this on the left more of the storyboard type level?
This is a handmade pencil drawing, and I have done this sketch, I believe, 10 years back.
Okay.
This is for a Oxford India event, and we created this cover for a storytelling purpose. As you can see that the book is open, and different type of story characters are pop out from the book.
Nice.
So that was the concept.
Yep. So as we go from the finished concept to these pencil drawings, one of the things I wanted to mention is you're not going to do a pencil drawing, get feedback, then go color it. You're going to do, like you mentioned, batches of them until you get all the pencil drawings done. Then you're going to incorporate feedback and then move on. Is that how it works?
You know what exactly we work like. We have a different people on board, and when we receive any requirement, we finish the sketch first because it is a time taking process. If we do not take a approval on sketch and directly start coloring on it, so we have to rework, sometime more than 50%, sometime more than 80%. Okay, so after the approval, we also try to figure out that what kind of coloring style author like, because in PencilMaster case, I haven't received anything with you, but we are very flexible and versatile. We always prefer to do experiment in our work. So, and we are always open for if author have anything specific and which is not available in our portfolio. So we are very much open to experiment that. And we are 100% confident that we can deliver to you that project. Sometimes what happen, author come to us and say that I'm not able to figure out the exact style I'm looking for, because they think that that if they haven't done anything this type of thing, so they are not able to do. This is not a situation. This is not a fact. Okay, because I worked as a creative director, I understand the guideline, I understand the requirement. Whenever you send anything, we'll try to take the technical terms and techniques from your art style and we'll implement in your sample.
Yeah. One of the
Okay.
things that's been really helpful for me is just the portfolio that you have, Pradeep, that we'll go over, has so many different styles in it. I've been able to just walk authors through it, and they usually can find one or two that they really like. Same thing, and usually it's, I like this style, but oh, I love the color palette on this one. So those are the kinds of feedback that you're looking for, right?
As you said that what is the next process after the approval. So when we finish with the drawing, then we come on the coloring part. Like as the Megan specifically said that she doesn't want the more digital version for her project. So we use some texture based work for her project. And if we received any other requirement which they specifically mentioned, nowadays it is very popular. They said that I want a Disney type of output. Okay, like your preference. So most of the people like Disney type of output, like more dimensional figures, perspective, angles on it, and bright and child friendly colors. So it is depend on author to author. After finishing the drawing, when we begin with the color, so we also do a little research on our side and come back to author that what kind of styles you like and do you have any preferences. If the author is blank and he do not have any reason for that, then we prefer to do experiment. But in most of the cases, author come with a different type of samples and they are actually really confused that which one is best for their book. So in that case, what happened? Sometimes we start with the budgeting part, because the color depth is also depend that how much budget you have for your project.
Right.
Like if you have a less project, because if you talk about the PencilMaster, we are very flexible on prices as well. So if you come to us, then we'll share some, like this one. This is very dimensional thing. You can see the depth, and if someone come to me and said that she want this type of that, but author do not have a very big budget for their project. So instead of putting it dimensional drawings and coloring, we'll prefer to use the flattened coloring output.
So you have an opportunity to customize what you deliver based on the budget that the individual has. And I know I've gone through this with you before, where as we looked at your portfolio, you have some things that come in on the low end of the scale, 30, 40,
Yes.
and then it goes up from there up to over $100 per page. And that broad range is something that is very helpful, because there are some people that have to stick on the low end of the budget, and so you
Yes.
can guide them to the 3 or 4 that might best suit that budget.
Yes, because but the art prices is depend that how much efforts we are going to put in your project. We are very clear on this. If we are going to spend 4 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours, more than 8 hours, so according to that, we calculate our budget and pricing and share it with you. Because sometimes what happens when you create anything like the in Megan sample, we have shared the first version with you, okay, and in that moment we haven't shared the output with Megan because we are simultaneously experimenting on that sample. And if you compare with the first and the final sample, so you can figure out the efforts between those.
Mm-hmm.
So it is dependent how much we are going to put in your sample and what type of detail you require, because sometimes people are very specific with this, that they want a pattern, they want skin detail, they want cloth textures. So it is depend on project to project wise.
Yeah, especially in backgrounds. I've seen some of the artwork that we'll look at in a little bit has very little detailing to the background, even though it's beautiful. And then others are like, you can see the dew on the leaves and every stroke on the leaves, that it almost looks three-dimensional.
Hold on, please. We have recently finished with the book and it is available on the Amazon. So can you please open the Amazon?
Sure. Yes, sir. Which book am I looking for?
Little Fish and the Big Aquarium.
Okay.
Although I have the book, but I am not willing to share it, the entire book, because I'm not authorized. Yes, this one.
Okay, you want me to do the look inside feature? Okay.
Can you see the background in first page?
Yes.
Those are spread pages.
I love that.
And this is we have recently done with the author. He lives in US.
Mm-hmm.
He's an individual author, and this is her first book. This is his first book, and you know what happened when he come to us. He's very specific on the backgrounds and characteristic, because he also have from illustration background. So what he has done, he has done some small scribbling for me, like the fish is going there to there, and he wants some rocks and some aquarium plants on it. He's very specific on each and everything. So that's helped me a lot while working on the book.
Nice. I like it. And if I remember correctly, this was not on the expensive side, right? This was a lower cost book.
Yeah, actually it's a reason behind this book, because you can see the only 1 and 2 character, and those are repeatedly we have used in this book. So that is why we charge less. If we are not going to put efforts in your book, so we are very clear, and we are not going to charge higher from you.
Mm-hmm. So another way to reduce the budget is to reduce the number of characters.
Yes, and use less background on it, so you get a good output in a minimum budget.
Okay. I think I'm going to open up your portfolio, because I think you have a beautiful, a great example of what we can do to try to give people a resource. And I do have this resource linked on our, I think it was week 2. where we started talking about illustrations.
If you can open it with the spread pages, so you'll have a better vision.
Oh, remind me again how I do that. That's through, oh, I have to actually open up Acrobat, right?
Yes, right.
Acrobat.
You can click the right button, then you'll have that option to open with that.
Okay. So it's under the view, right? Page navigation.
No, page display. It is page display.
Page display.
Then
Two-page view.
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect.
Now you can use the full screen.
Perfect. Oops. Okay. So here's some, this is an example of not a lot of background, right? But yet you still have the really cute characters here.
Yes, because this is a spatula painting type of texture brush we have used in this style. As you can see on a face that this is a pattern and texture based output, and this is, and it is always comes beautiful because of the less clutter background and highlighted character.
Yes, I like it too. I like the low amount of clutter and even the white, because I like the words on white, so they're easier to read. So this looks good. And this is on the lower end of the budget, right?
Yeah, if you won't believe, this is very reasonable.
Do you want to share what the basic budget would be for something like this?
Actually, it is also dependent on a story. That's what.
Right, of course.
Have and how much detail is required.
Yeah. Okay.
If you go above this page, yes, these type of situation it is always a budget for a budget project, because what we have done, we are targeting a more audience and author this year to publish more books with PencilMaster. So we have created a portfolio especially for them who are looking at good quality work on a reasonable price. Okay, so these are the most reasonable example, and you can see the quality is very fine, very quality output, very beautiful. It doesn't mean that if we are charging a less to you, so we are going to compromise with the quality.
Right, it's still beautiful. It's just got different types of detailing. Like the stitching seems to be less complicated. I wish I could turn those stupid notifications off. All right. And then as we move through this, we get a little bit more detailed. So one thing that that draws my attention here is the scarecrow. I love the color palette. So I know, if it's a fall book or you really love so I could easily as an author say, I really love the colors here. And then they could choose other, also let you know what other pictures that they appreciate as far as the detailed level goes.
Can you please go the scarecrow page?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Last time what happened, one of the authors contacted us, and she said that I want this character and detail to be converted into a girl. And I was tried 2-3 times to explain her that this is a scarecrow, that is why we have used this texture. If we are going to use this detail and texture on a girl, so I am sure that you are not going to like the final output. Because as an artist, we have that vision to imagine and visualize and give it to you the upfront feedback before we go. If you are going to discuss anything with me, I'm going to revert back to you in 5-10 minutes, because the scribbles come in my mind automatically, because I'm doing this practice for a long time. So I'm definitely upfront in a 5-10 minutes, I share my opinion and suggestion with you. And sometimes, you know what happened, the author are very subjective, they are not open to listen, which is not a good thing actually,
Right.
because
So I think one of the pieces of advice that came up when we met on Tuesday was to be open and listen to the creative, be open to the creative feedback from the illustrator. So this, as a human face of a child, wouldn't make sense. I see what you're saying.
you have used the exaggerated form to make it cuter actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the detail on this, on the haystack as well. That's really cool. If anybody has questions as we're going through these images, you can feel free to unmute yourself and just go ahead and ask your questions. We're here to make this interactive for you, and you can feel free to just jump right in.
And in my catalog, I have mentioned the image code in above of the every image. If in case anybody have any question related to figure and style, they can note the illustration number, and they can share their thoughts and opinion later.
Okay. Nice. I like that. This is so simple, and yet it's really, really sweet.
You know what happened? It is dependent what kind of coloring and compositions you are going to use. Composition is a final output of illustration from your brief. What we create from your brief, it is called composition. So it is dependent what kind of composition we are going to create. That this is a very zoom character. Like we have highlight the character and use the bright and attractive color for it.
Right.
Balance with a white color. So these type of techniques is dependent what exactly you're going to do and what type of character you have. If in case instead of the dog, if we have an elephant, it will come out beautiful.
Right.
And hippopotamus and giraffe. So we have to play with the different character with the cuter versions.
Right. And this one on the left looks almost 3D to me. It looks beautiful, very detailed.
Yeah,
so
it is very detailed.
I'm assuming that's on the higher end.
Yeah, it is.
And this too. Lots of detail in these, which is really nice. Are these still low level of detail? I don't see a big background or anything like that. So I assume that's low level detail.
Yeah, but if you see the characters, they are very detailed.
That's true.
And different styles also a charge little higher to you.
Okay.
Because we are going to do more experiment on it.
Okay. Beautiful.
These type of illustrations are more white-based illustrations. Just to make the character more detailed and highlight, we prefer to use the white background.
I'm starting to lose you a little bit. I think your volume's going down some.
Okay.
There we go. This is nice. Oh, there's another version of that open book concept that you showed us earlier.
I shared my portfolio with the author last time, and they said that we want a similar version. Like when we share the portfolio, so sometime what happened, the author come to us that you show something to me, and I want the similar type of output, but in a cartoony form.
Okay.
So in that case, we create those experiments.
Nice. Lot of different toys and things in here.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is a composition of 3 images actually.
Okay.
Let me show you a few more recent work.
Do you want me to make you a presenter so you can share your desktop?
Yes.
Hmm. Okay, you should see the share button, and it'll probably tell you that it's going to have to stop me from sharing, so you can go ahead and do that. There you go. I see you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
These are the new sample which we are going to add in the portfolio soon.
Nice.
This is you have seen earlier before. This is we have recently created for a Indian book publisher,
Mm-hmm.
and we are going to work on I believe 12 book series for this, small stories. But this has been postponed for next 6 months. Some of the mix match which we have seen earlier.
One thing I really like, Pradeep, is that I know some other illustrators I go to, they have a specific style. And
Yes.
if you want to vary from that style, you really need to go to a different illustrator. But your team is so large and you have
Yes.
the ability to flex between a multitude of different styles. I really like that.
Yeah, that I really feel confident writing different style, and we are versatile. Come to us and you want something different which is not available in our portfolio, we are very much open for that. As you can also compare with the differences between these images, they are totally different from each other. This is a very interesting project, and this is we have done for a lady. She lives in Austria. He used these drawings for a letterhead. This is this is a text area actually, and you can see that different storytelling we have used.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting project, and we have recently finished this.
That's nice.
Yeah. This is a textbook type of material, like a storytelling material, and we did the entire thing like designing, typesetting, formatting with the illustration.
Now, that's
Uh,
something that we didn't mention yet, but I
yes.
know in many cases we select our illustrator, we go and select a separate graphic designer, but your firm has you have graphic designers and project managers that are also assigned to the project when you take it on, right?
Yes, we provide end-to-end publishing services actually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me show you a few more example. This is a very simple and my favorite one actually. This is very simple, less time taking, and beautiful output.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
sometimes what happened, we are always use the child friendly and print friendly colors, because we know if we are going to use a uh, less budget printer for your book, so which color come out good and which color not come out good, because we have that knowledge, printing knowledge. So we always use the safer color which is always come good
Mm-hmm.
final output.
That's nice.
This is a text area. We have used this book. The white portion is for text.
Mm-hmm.
We have recently finished around 500 illustration of the samples.
How many books would you say that you've published?
Every year, for example, this year we have finished with 20 textbooks, and we are currently working with five more textbooks and 6 new stories.
Okay.
And every textbook, one textbook have around 150 to 200 pages.
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
And this is we have done for a English reader book, which I believe includes 200 to 250 pages.
Beautiful. So
This
Pradeep,
is
as we're talking, started talking about the process. So as the book is coming together, moving from pencil drawings to the full color drawings, at the end of having that feedback on the colors, then is that when the graphic design and the typesetting starts?
Usually what we do when we have any project from initial stage for providing end-to-end services. So what we initiate with a formatting, book formatting. So when we format the book, so we'll have a fair idea that where we are going to play with the illustration. And we take those printouts and hand over to the illustrator if he or she is going to work manually. And if he is going to work on it digitally, so we'll provide the PDF. So we'll left the text area and play with the other
I see.
things. So if we have a complete package from author, so we'll prefer to work on this format.
And so then there is still some finishing work that then takes the finished book and puts it into the files that you need for uploading to the printers and to Amazon, right?
Yes. This is a sample which we received from an author. She lived in Canada, I believe. I'm sorry, I forgot, because this is a 5 months old sample, and this is a rejected sample. This is rejected because the author was not clear that what exactly she want, and because of the back and forth again and again also frustrated me and her. So when you are not clear with the thoughts, and she was not open to listen to us, that was the problem. I'm mentioning this specifically because this is very important for your project, and this is a time saving for you, an illustrator. You always have to be mentally prepared that this is exactly I want and this is I don't want. Otherwise it is going to waste your time and the artist as well. These are the sample we soon going to put on your our website.
Nice. Does anybody have any questions for Pradeep as he's kind of scrolling through this? I asked him specifically to highlight some of the different styles of illustration, not as a way of selling his services as much as for the author to be able to see that they can go and look at this huge portfolio out here, whether it's Pradeep's or whether it's somebody else's. You can still find examples of styles and colors that you like, and you're able to use something like this to help you expand your description and get the samples for the illustrator so that it can help make that process go that much more quickly.
I have one more example for you. For example, recently what we have done, a client come to us and they said that I want one story in a two different styles. Okay, so we have done this sample in a more commercial output, and after that we said that we want something different out of the box which is not very commercial and more recommended into a European market. So we have done this sample. This is the same story with a different style. You can see the difference between those.
Right.
Right?
It's
Any
interesting.
question?
Nick, did you have a question?
Yeah, I have two questions. One, hello, thank you for coming, first of all. I wanted to ask about if, say, for instance, before I use you and commit to you as an illustrator, is there a way to just assign you like a page of my book to see how it would look, so I can see if that's going to work for me?
Yes, we have a process like when somebody contact us first time, so they don't have a knowledge that what exactly we can deliver it to you, and maybe you are in a doubt that it is not a, compatible with what exactly you are looking for. So we can try with a sample. Our sample prices are fixed. Like if you want just a pencil sketch, in that case we charge $50. If we want the color sample, in that case we charge $100. And
Okay.
for a sample, these prices are fixed because for a sample it is required lots of concentration and efforts. Okay, so when you're done with the sample and you are ready to sign up a contract for the entire book, in that moment we are going to give you a handsome discount. Depends on what exactly you want for your book. Maybe we can give you a $30 offer per page, and maybe we can give you a $90 or $100 per page. Depend on what exactly you want and how detailed it is.
Right.
So we would get that in advance, like we would get a quote basically of what you think it would cost based on a conversation or based on notes?
Based on note and based on the illustration style you will select for your book, because we'll share the portfolio and with you and some random samples, and you can suggest that I like the number 5 and number 6 and maybe number 8. So I'll give you the 3 different quotations for the different sizes for different art styles, and when you finally final the art style for your book according to your budget, according to your liking, so we'll continue further. There is no subjective mindset. We always charge professionally. You select your work and we're going to give you a code according to that.
Okay, and then I have a follow-up question. Once I'm working with you, how many revisions are allowed if we just can't seem to see eye to eye?
What happened usually, if we are working on your book and we are using a proper process and protocols and guidelines, so I'm sure that you are not going to it will not require more than 2 rounds of corrections. But if in case it is required more than 2 rounds of correction, we professionally fix a 3 rounds of correction. But if in case after the 3 rounds and you have minor changes on it, so we are pretty confident and comfortable for that.
Okay.
It is dependent how much percent in which percentage you want me to change. Like 2%, 5%, I'm okay with it. But if in case you have more than 50% changes and 80% changes and it is going to take my efforts, in that case I take raise alarm and give you a notice that we are going to charge extra for that.
Yeah. I've done a lot of work with Pradeep, and also some authors don't quite know what to do to kind of work through this process. So I've offered my assistance. For example, with Megan, we went through the process of taking, pictures. I worked with Pradeep, worked with Megan, and just kind of being that person in between, and the time zone issues aren't there with me. So we were able to kind of partner up, and I think in a matter of 4 or 5 days, we had the samples to the point of being ready for coloring and everything. So it is a good process, and I've not seen, of all the times I've worked with Pradeep, I've not seen it go more than 2 or 3 at the very most, and that's uncommon as it is.
And Nick, we have recently finished with 5 books with a different country people, and we have done only 1 revision with them. Megan is available, and we have recently submitted a sample. You can also check she's available. Megan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm available. Sorry.
Yeah, she
Yeah. So
What was
any feedback that how many revisions you required? Can you please share your experience with us?
Yeah, I had a couple revisions for just the sample of what I wanted to see, just to make sure that we were all on the same page. Just in terms of different eye types and clothing and things like that. But it's been a very smooth and good process, and April has been really awesome to kind of bridge the time zone gap, as well as just to get Pradeep and I on the same page as we're trying to figure out each other's minds and how they work and things like that. So it's been really great, and I look forward to this next step of kind of the storyboarding and how that process all goes about. And as I'm looking through your portfolio here, I'm also learning a lot about how you describe things and how I think of things when it, in terms of color and in terms of detail and things like that. So it just, at the beginning, it just takes a little bit of that learning curve to figure out how we communicate and how we see things. So it's been awesome. Pradeep has been very, very great to work with me and kind of try to pull things out of my head. So
Thank you so much, Megan.
it's been fun.
I'm definitely give you more than what you expect for your project.
Yes, I believe you. You've done it already, so
Thank you
I'm
so much.
excited.
Any more questions for me, please?
Is the formatting compatible with most printing companies?
Please come again.
The formatting, when you format the book, like 8.5 by 8.5 or whatever, with the bleed and the spine and the I don't know all the terms, but anyway, is it compatible with most either offset printers or digital printers?
Yes, it is. Usually, what we prefer to build a illustration in 8 by 4 or A4 pages or A3 pages, because these are available in the market easily and cost you less. If in case you are going to take a special paper or special size, so that will going to cost you higher.
From a, you mean
I'm
from
so
a printing perspective, right?
From a printing perspective, because it is depend that what it is very important from costing perspective, that how much you're going to spend in your project. So if we do little research on it, it is going to save your a very huge amount. And you can also check this on Amazon KDP, because they have used a very special paper sizes, because they are going to print your book, so they always play a safe game. You can refer those sizes for your book for a to illustrator. And if you want a reasonable output and you're going to publish your book your own, in that case I always suggest to use the A4 size, because it is easily available in the market and cost you less, whether you are going to print your book in China or India. And by the way, we forgot to mention, April, that we provide printing services as well, if in case somebody wants a digital copy or an offset copies.
That's great.
And I have something to show you to Megan, that last time we have not able to share the entire thing because I was not carrying my laptop in our last meeting.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. What size did you say that you format the book in? 8.5 by 8.5.
I suggest the 8.5 by 11. This is a normal size which everyone prefer to use actually.
So that's what I would say is there is a list of standard sizes. If you go into Amazon KDP, there's I think there's half a dozen different sizes that say standard, and you can choose any of those, and they're made available standard sizes through KDP, through your printers. No matter which choice you have, you're very, very likely to be able to print in that size. Then they have others that are slightly different, where it's a non-standard size, KDP will still print it for you. But when you can't do just expanded distribution, and if you go to another printer, you may not find that it's available. So I know Bobby could probably give a little bit of testimony to some of this, because we've been dealing with some of that for her fairy books as well.
And it is also dependent in which country you are going to publish your book. For example, if you are going to publish your book in going to promote your book in Europe, so they prefer square size most. Okay, for European countries, if you are going to promote your book for Frankfurt, Bologna especially, so they prefer square size. And in US they're quite okay with the A4. What do you think, April? Because in frequently receiving the requirement in A4 sizes from US right nowadays. You have to click the unmute button. Yeah.
So I think what I've seen more is the square sizes. I've seen the 8.5 by 8.5 is very popular, and the 8.5 by 11 has been really popular for a lot of the coloring books. But it's a very personal decision. You know, I did mine in 6 by 9, which is standard size for KDP as well. And that was, a personal decision, because I wanted it more to be, it was geared for older readers that, early readers that could read to themselves. And I wanted a good size for them so that it would be in their hands. They could hold it in their hands, throw it in the backpack. But in hindsight now, if I was going to do it again, I would have chosen the 8.5 by 8.5, because it just gives you a better sense of just the beauty of, have beautiful illustrations. I would have liked to have had it a larger size, but a cutie patootie you have there. I love
Kelly,
your +1, Kelly.
Now I can figure out why you have took so much time to finish your book. Kelly, I'm expecting a question from your side, because I just received your email regarding the sample. You have to click unmute button.
I think she wants to stay muted for now. So
this is Mary, and I have a question. Hi, I have a question about the European sizes. What was the common European size?
You said square. Square.
I couldn't hear. I'm having a hard time hearing. Thank you.
Yep, square.
I'll go through and I'll write little notes on all of them. I didn't realize how important it was.
Okay. Okay. That what exactly I asked you in my morning and your evening. That when I go through your script, so I've seen that you have not written the illustration note on it. Now, but I hope you can understand how important it is.
Yes. I feel like you're talking to me the entire time.
Yeah. And,
you're not the only one.
Yeah, who's asked for the European sizes?
Yes, that's Marian.
Yeah, the Marian, actually it is depend on what the story you have. They have a different type of sizes available, because especially Europe is a very huge market when you talk about the storybooks, and you have a very you'll find a lot very different type of scope there for promote their book, because you'll also if you have a link, so you'll get the rights buyer also there. So maybe you can go and visit them, and they can buy your book rights for a specific country. So the book size for European market is also depend on your story, and they are quite open for experiments. And square size is always count in experiment, because it's cost a little higher in printing as well. That is one of the reason it is highly recommended.
Okay, thank you, because I'm going to be distributing in Ireland and England, and I just wanted to make sure that I had never even considered they might have different sizes. So thank you.
You're most welcome. But there is no guideline behind this. But yes, the scale is most recommended in that case.
Okay, thank you.
And it is an important piece of the puzzle because the illustrator won't be able to start working on your books until you select your size. And, you know, I mean, they won't be able to get to that final layout for you. And if it's portrait versus landscape, you know, they'll want to design things a little bit differently. So it's good to go and handle some books, go, you know, check out what the standard sizes are, and thumb through some of your favorites, measure them, and see if you can come up with and select the size. Bobby, do you want to share a little bit about what's going on right now with the fairy books as a result of sizing?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't see me anymore. Okay. My books, my hardcover books are 8.5 by 11 horizontal. And we just decided to go to paperback after 10 years. I thought it was time to get on the bandwagon. And there is no, so through Amazon, there is no 8.5 by 11 horizontal for paperback. So I had to have my graphic designer go in and take my 8.5 by 11 and convert it into an 8.5 by 8.5.
Okay.
And he did that. He did a great job. He did one of them. But it meant moving the text off of the page. And luckily, the way he set it up originally, it was in layers and he had the text so he could move it. But you have to think about that. They will, Amazon will give you an 8.5 by 11 vertical, which is a kind of silly, tall, skinny book. So that you have to, I know you can't think about everything before you start, but just keep that in mind.
You know what happened? It is a very painful process when you put your book on Amazon individually. And when you convert your book into another size, any another size, then you have to do customization according to the paper size.
Right.
Right? If you don't do that, then you'll not get the result which you have done it earlier.
Right. And I don't know what I would have done different in the beginning because my books, I feel, lend themselves to 8.5 by 11 horizontal. So maybe in the beginning, I would have had the designer deal with that issue at the beginning, set it up in 2 different formats while he was working. I'm really not sure. Hindsight is great.
I can guide you on that if you can send me the message on Messenger after that on Facebook. So you'll send me the private message. I'll review 1 page of yours and give you the guidance. That will help you, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome. Anyone else?
Hi, yeah, I just have a question about the per page cost. Does that include the graphic design and formatting?
Per page cost, it is actually depends that what exactly you are looking for your book. And we have a process like we start from $40 to $120 per page. It is dependent how detailed artwork you are looking for your book. Okay. And when we say that $40 to $120, in our prices, it is everything including.
Okay.
Like graphic designing and formatting with 3 rounds of corrections. We prefer to give a entire package. And April can assist you more after this call. If anyone have any query related to illustrations, pricing, and the timeline, so April will be the spokesperson on PencilMaster.
Yeah, I'm glad to do that. It has worked really well with because of the time zone issues. I tend to be a night owl, so I am doing my best writing at night while he's getting up in the morning, and we're able to just kind of tag team, and we set up our meetings together and go through any open projects we have. So my expertise is project management and program management, and I'm here to help the authors coordinate things. So it works really well to be able to have me as a go-between, and I'm glad to do that. So feel free to reach out if you want to chat, or I know Kelly, if you want somebody to just kind of go through and help you flesh out the information that you need to create that brief, I can do that as well. And you can just grab time on my calendar through my website. I'll make sure I send the link in this in my email for replay for today. I'll put my link, and you'll be able to just go and grab time on my calendar. And anybody that's in this work group has the ability to schedule me for coaching one-on-one, and there's no charge for that coaching. So I'll make sure you have the information about how to get in touch with me.
And we also provide a free consultancy about your book. Like, for example, you are stuck that what is the next step, and you are ready with your script and you just want a counseling, and maybe after that you are going to work on your book individually as an illustrator as well. So the counseling fee is free of cost. You can come and visit anytime, reach out anytime, whenever you have time. We are not going to charge anything for that.
There's a question here, Pradeep, about custom fonts. It says, do you own custom fonts, or can we supply you with a custom font?
If you can supply, that will be great. But if you want a handmade font as well, so we can do the handmade font as well. We can do the illustrated font as well. Is it the lady? I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the lady, which we have recently done a sample for her. Misty, yeah, I'm sorry. I have recently posted on a Illustrator group that we have used. We are working on a book. It is called, it is on a yoga. Being Calm is a title.
Mm-hmm.
And we have used a handmade font on it. We have illustrated with a drawing, actually.
I remember seeing that and wondering what font that was. Now that explains it, why I didn't understand. It was very nice. I like that.
We are quite comfortable for that. If you want a more experimental work, like you want a more clothy or texturing type of font and handmade font with the calligraphy and all, we're quite comfortable with that.
Great.
Okay. And I want to play some animation samples for Megan.
Oh, okay.
Megan, are you there?
Actually, she just said she did a BRB, so she must have stepped away with the baby for a minute.
Okay.
But
these are the animation samples.
Oh, I see. Yep. You know what I'll do? I'll provide some links in my notes so that anybody who wants to go and actually launch it, so they can hear and see the different animations. So I'm learning more and more about you the more we work together, Pradeep. So how often how much are you doing with animation?
In this module, you will understand the need for studying macroeconomics.
Please continue.
Oh, I was just wondering how much animation stuff are you doing?
Animation stuff we are doing. Well, honestly, this year we have not done very big projects. Just 2-3 animation, or it is based on the book which we have done for a lady. She lives in Canada. She want the promotional video for her book, so we have created few random sample. I believe I have shared a few months back with you.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing an interactive book, Pradeep. Do you have experience with that yet?
We have done so many, but right now we don't have the capacity to do it in-house.
Okay.
Because we began with the 5 team members last year, and we have done few of the book for Oxford, India, and Pearson. But right now we do not have any strength in-house.
Okay.
But we have experienced the interactive book.
Okay. I'll touch base with you and see. Misty, did you have a question?
I don't. I just wanted to say hi.
Hi, Misty. Welcome. How is your book coming?
It's same. And then Pradeep, I'm waiting for my sample, Pradeep.
Yeah, you'll get it soon. Don't worry.
Okay.
Good.
As you can see, I told you that I'm overoccupied nowadays, but I'll send it to you soon. Don't worry.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? How are we doing for time? Let me just stop sharing.
This is really surprising because we have so many visitors today, but I believe that we have answered all the queries.
Yeah, I think so. And if there's any additional questions that come out of it, we'll be sure to to come back to you, Pradeep, and then I can post the answers in the message board for everybody.
Sure.
So I know we went a little bit over. My apologies for that, but I think this was a really engaging meeting. And Pradeep, thank you so much for taking time with us. This was really great.
Thank you so much, guys, for listening to me. I really enjoyed it.
I'll share the video with you once I finish it. I'll send you the link.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Bye-bye. Keep in touch if you have any question.
Okay.